Me and my handful of, I didn't have like a lot of friends. And so me and my few
that were
friends,
Christians?
Just period. I didn't have a lot of friends.
Hey guys, and aloha. It's Mark Sorichu, your host of the Christian Surfers podcast, Talk Story, where we talk Jesus and talk with surfers that love Jesus. Please tune in to hear some amazing stories of faith and the kingdom, and we'll see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Christian Surfers Talk Story podcast. Very, very special guest here today in God's country. Beautiful drive down here to Buxton in the Outer Banks, Cape Hatters. Brett Barley, ladies and gentlemen. Brett, so good to see you, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having us in your house, in your boardroom, giving us the tour. Beautiful place.
The new studio. I just got in here a year ago.
Amazing.
A year ago, like a year and a week ago, basically.
Happy anniversary. Yeah. It looks incredible, guys. This guy's very tidy, very clean, very organized, as you could tell.
Well, I did all of this out of my bedroom before.
So your wife wasn't happy.
This is like, no, she was fine. I mean, it's my job. So
yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But to have
she's very gracious.
It's nice to have like my desk, and it's nice to be able to like shut the door and work is over and you go inside and whatever, and then have a space to have all the boards. I had all these boards in a shed before. Yeah. And it would just, when you would open it in the summer, it just smelled like resin. Because they're just cured.
Like a shaping factory.
Because it was so hot.
In the summer.
They would basically like over cure. I would have boards that would turn yellow, like epoxies that would just turn yellow because they were in there. It wasn't even because they were in the sun.
Yeah. Thank God you get like a lot of new quivers. You can sell those off. Get the new quiver for the year. Great selection there of like your 30 boards. But that, I would say that's a great place to start, Brett. When people say the name Brett Barley, I think in my head like the ultimate like hardworking, like blue collar, like down to earth, one of the homies, just brother that just works hard. And back in the, I would say a lot of people probably have that perception of you, because in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, right, surfers had their entourages, right? You had your dedicated filmer, photographer, your videographer, and you would just kind of be the surfer. You would just kind of be the talent. But I felt like with you, and we were kind of joking about it in your front yard, how like you're like, to me, like, you're like the Christian surfer's Rob Machado, right? You kind of birthed this, especially on YouTube. You birthed this new career of a hybrid where you're like the surfer, but you're also the filmer, and you're also the editor, and you're the content creator. It's not like you're rolling around, with a camera crew of 20 guys.
I do have a filmer though now.
Okay, there you go.
It was like me and a GoPro and a solo shot, which there's some over on the shelf.
There you go.
For nostalgia's purpose. And I'm just like, maybe at some point in the future I might need them because I won't have a filmer anymore. But now that I've been working with Jeffrey O'Neill since 2016.
Okay.
So
is he a local guy?
Yeah. Well, he's from Virginia. He basically graduated high school. I hired him for like 2 or 3 swells, and I was like, man, this kid's really good.
You're gonna take him.
He ended up moving down here, and I would like pay him anytime we shot, and then he eventually moved into, like, he was working at Real Water Sports.
Okay. Which was your first sponsor, right?
No. Technically Fox Water Sports was my first sponsor. Okay. And then they got me O'Neill when I was 11, and I signed with Real 2014 or 2015.
Okay. Are they the main shop in this area?
They're the biggest shop. I mean, the main 2 shops in the area would be like Natural Art and Fox Water Sports. Those have been here forever.
Got it.
But Real is the biggest for sure.
Got it. Yeah, I saw a lot of the shops kind of driving in. Beautiful drive, by the way, guys. It's like God's country. You're like, little parking lots to the left, and you're just wondering what the waves are doing on the other side of the sand dunes. And, it's just pretty much all residential. It's all houses.
Yeah. And that's why, like, it was, there's not a lot of people around here. So when I started working with Jeffrey, it was like kind of the first time since I was a teen where I had someone I could work with that was shooting. Like when I was in his school, Will Scudin would help pay our friend of ours, Bo Dempsey, to film us.
Is Will from here?
He's originally from New York. His parents moved down here and he went to high school here. Okay. And that's how I met him. And,
super cool. Have you surfed his wave park?
Yeah, I did. It's super fun. But yeah, so then having Jeffrey, it just, like, him and I worked together real well. He was good. And once Reel hired him as like a part of their media team, then it just became this like symbiotic relationship where it's like,
synergy.
Now I have a guy on the beach that I trust. Yeah, I can just go surf. But
he's not checking Instagram when you should be filming.
Yeah, going back to like what you were saying about like the whole content creation side. Like I still do all of my editing. I organize the footage. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to be like
delegate,
not delegate. So he has to organize all the footage for Reel anyway, for all the content they create.
Yeah.
And I was getting all of the files from him and then organizing them too. I'm like, dude, we're both doing the same job.
Yeah.
We're doing it twice. So now I've gotten better about the pace. This was back when I was like, I need a video out every Thursday. And
dropping the cadence.
Yeah. And so now it's like, I am a little more loose with it. I let him organize the stuff. I get it from him and then it kind of makes it a little bit easier. But I have lights as you see. I'm super into the like creative side and the filming side.
The technical side.
I've been into camera stuff since like, I was a kid with a little, I'm trying to think of, it wasn't like a high 8, but like a mini DV camcorder.
Yeah.
And I would
Were you making surf videos of your friends?
I was making surf videos of me finger surfing how you pull the rug over and get barrel. So I would like try and film that. And I didn't even know how.
You're just making little cartoons.
I didn't know how that, how they put, I was little, I didn't know how they put the music with it.
Yeah.
And so I tried taking a song and like a CD player and I put the headphones over this microphone of the camera and I would hit play and then like film it and then hit pause and then go to the next clip. And that was the first time I ever tried to make a movie.
That's epic.
Because I didn't.
That's how everyone started. Taylor Steele.
That was what I thought it was. And then maybe it was like a year or two later. I didn't try that, but so long because I realized it did not work.
Oh, that's so cool though. I mean, that's how creative.
I got into editing.
Yeah.
Kind of, that was like the start. Windows Movie Maker and just playing with it.
Amazing. Well, you've done such an amazing job, Brett. Your stuff is so high quality. That's why you got so many followers and an amazing fan base. The stuff that you put out there is top notch, A-class. Your stuff is family friendly. It's clean. You're not dropping F-bombs. And I obviously, on behalf of Christian Surfers.
That's not who I am.
and we love that about you. And you're such I think that's why you're an amazing role model for so many of us in Christian Surfers. And I'm glad we got you locked in for the new Surfers Bible. We can't believe you're in it. And you finally got your copy.
The first Bible I ever got, I actually got saved through Christian Surfers when I was a kid. Bob McBride, the man here, was running like the local Christian Surfers chapter. And basically him and my friend Joey Crum, and I don't know who else kind of was organizing things at the time, but they basically just were like, Joey's house was like, there's, as you see driving around, there's not a lot of concrete around here. And there's way more than there was 25 years ago. So like when we were kids, there was very few places to skate.
Okay.
And Joey was one of the only his house was one of the only places with asphalt.
Right.
So there were skate ramps there, and Bob and him just decided to start meeting for Christian Surfers there. Like,
when you were a Grom.
When I was a Grom in the driveway. And so we would be skating and they would just show up and we're like,
who are these Christian
guys? We still want to skate. Like, I guess we'll just hang out until this is over. And they would bring pizza and whatever.
And food.
Yeah. After so many times, as like a kid that didn't grow up going to church or anything, like at first we kind of realized what was going on. I was like, well, maybe I won't go over to Joey's on Saturday afternoon because I know those guys are going to show up.
Avoid the weird Christian guys.
But then it was funny because I was like, well, shoot, all my friends are like, I would like drive by and like, it was literally on the highway. And I drive by and you're like, well, my friends are there. And so then I just was like, we all started
hang
going
out.
And we'd just be hanging out and
they were just loving people.
Yeah. And just listening to Bob, like share the word or whatever the message. It wasn't anything like long, just something kind of
brief,
a word to share and share a meal together. Message. And eventually it was just like, whoa, this like Jesus guy is actually pretty cool. Like this sounds awesome. And, long story short, ended up continuing to go and then like started going to church through that and ended up getting saved when I was like 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because you didn't grow up in a Christian family, right? It wasn't like your
my grandparents were believers. And then, but like my only idea of church was like going to the Catholic church with my best friend Cash and his parents. And that
kind of what you saw on TV or
well, not even then.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and then it kind of became indirectly, you were just like going to these Christian surfer meetings, getting fed pizza, but then getting fed the word of God, and then I guess making that personal decision around when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
for
And
yourself.
it was like, me and my handful of, I didn't have like a lot of friends. And so me and my few
that were
friends,
Christians, or
just period. I didn't have a lot of friends. I mean, I was like friends with anybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I only had, really one best friend and 2 to 3 other guys that we would hang out with.
Just your small,
That was it,
tight
yeah.
group. Yeah.
And, I mean, that grew a little bit as I became a teenager, but it still wasn't a lot. It actually grew through Christian surfers. Like as we got older,
more friends.
Instead of it just being like the people that were like our age or a year above or below, it was like, then just the high schoolers or the middle schoolers, whatever. And,
Yeah.
we started they would do like a snowboard trip once a year to go up to Snowshoe.
Okay.
I guess they did it. Maybe they only did it twice.
How far is that?
9 hours?
9 hours.
Pretty far.
Is that the
Yeah.
closst mountain to here?
There is a closer spot, but
Yeah.
it's like,
It's not as good.
if you're gonna drive 5.5 hours, you might as well drive 8 or 9
for a better mountain.
Yeah. But that was actually on the snowboard trip that we did.
Okay.
Bob's verse for the whole week was Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 5 and 6.
Okay.
It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight."
Amen.
But for us, he was trying to help us remember it, and so he's a fisherman. He's a commercial fisherman.
Okay.
And he said, "And He will hook you up."
The surfer translation.
Yeah. And but that basically, like from that trip on, like for the whole weekend, that was like the verse, and it was the specific verse. So the whole weekend revolved around, talking about that and what that means, and just the idea of like, trusting in God and where He's going to lead you is what, where you will find joy.
Right.
And that became like basically my whole life path, like life
mantra.
verse. Like even still, it's like still my favorite verse. And I would
Go
say
back
the
to
thing
that.
that's led me from like as a teenager and as I got older and like had, some of my friends maybe weren't necessarily on the same path as I was anymore.
Right.
And it kind of got lonely, I would say.
Right.
But I
Especially
just
as a Christian.
yeah, and I was just
pro
like,
surfing.
it didn't even matter to me because I was like, this is what I want and nothing's going to change my mind. Oh, sorry. I thought I have the original one of these that I got. That's what I was saying. This was the first Bible I got was the
Christian Surfer's Bible.
Surfer's Bible. Yeah.
I'm glad we got you in the new one.
but yeah, anyway, through high school, through marriage, kids, like that just, to me, it's like,
Yeah.
it really sums up well, like what it is meant to be to like trust God.
Yeah. I love, Brett, that you shared that it wasn't like a cultural thing where you grew up as a pastor's kid where all that, you found it and discovered it on your own in a real, authentic and genuine way. And you made the decision for yourself. It wasn't like someone told you, this is what you have to do. This is what our family does. But you're like, no, this gospel of Jesus, of heaven, of the greatest love that can be offered to mankind makes sense to me. I'm going to go with that. That is the best news out there in this world.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like I said, I got saved at 12. And I would say at that point, it was more just, I loved the idea of God and I knew God, but it wasn't like I was 12,
Right.
The relationship, it had been like a year and a half or something since I'd started going to Christian Surfers. And so it was like, I was like fresh into church and so, but I knew that was what I wanted, but it really was, when I was like 14, and not that I'm going to share it. It's like a very personal thing, but basically there was like something in life that happened that was like, could have potentially been really traumatizing
for you.
And, in that moment, I just was like praying and like through what was happening, I was praying and I was just like, Lord, like I need you now. I need help. And it was like instantly, it was just like everything stopped.
Really?
And the situation that was happening just all of a sudden it was like it never happened.
Wow.
And for me at 14, I remember sitting there afterwards and I was just like, I mean, there's no way I can deny that you're real. Like that just happened to me, like a lot, like
it was a miracle.
Yeah. And it's a story that I look forward to sharing someday. It's just not something that
all good.
Is
no pressure.
Public yet.
Yeah.
But I'm actually, that is like my testimony. And that's actually what's kind of funny is like what is like my main testimony around how I like basically was just like, all right, God, this is it. It was like, I've only shared with like a few people.
Yeah. Your close friends.
Yeah. And
well,
so,
we'll have to do part
again,
two.
There will
future.
Someday. I look forward to telling someday. But it was like
Sounds
one of those
powerful.
things. So like at 14, it was just like, there's nothing anyone could ever convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
That God isn't real and that He's not here for me, because that happened and I was like, that's it. Like,
it was like an instant intervention.
Yeah, done deal. Like, all right, we're in this for life. And that's through falling in love with my wife and praying over that for like 2 years before we ever even a year and a half or more before.
Did you meet her at church or Christian Surfers?
Through Christian Surfers.
Look at that.
Well, we went to school together.
Okay.
I mean, you know everyone at the school here.
Yeah.
It's a small town.
Everyone knows each other.
There's like 40 to 50 kids per class. So there's 300 in the middle school, high school. It's not that many.
Got it.
So we knew each other, but it was one of those things where like I didn't want to just like date people. Like I wanted to, like have a wife. And not that I expected to find that at such a young age, but it was just like, if I have these feelings, I'm going to pray about them before I make it. And anyway, long story short, her and I, like a year and a half later, I finally told her, maybe. And then we started talking about it and then we started praying about it together, because she was just like, wait, what? She was like, didn't see that coming at all. And so we prayed about it together for like, I guess 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
And she basically
about getting married.
No, just about even like dating.
Wow.
She wasn't into me in that way. She shut me down.
She said no at first.
Yeah. She just was like, I don't see you that way.
Put you in the friend box.
Yeah. And but it was like one of those things where, again, going back to like the Proverbs verse and like what I had just experienced at 14, it was like, all right, Lord, I'm just going to trust this process. And whether it's meant to be or whether it's not meant to be, like there's something to learn through this, and like I will get through this, and either it's going to be awesome or I'll just move on, and that'll be fine. And the Lord ended up telling her that I was the one eventually.
Wow.
Which was
stepped in for you again.
Yeah. And then this is like over 2 years after I had first started to like her.
Really?
And we started dating and we ended up getting married a year later.
Wow. But, praise God.
Yeah.
Super cool. That I love that you at such a young age, I mean, you made these critical life decisions. Imagine, I'm just trying to think of all the like teenagers I know, like, gosh, man, if they could all just pray like you did.
Well, as I get older, I'm like, I see these kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, at that age, I knew who I was going to marry. Like, it's crazy. It honestly, at the time, it seemed just like, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, whoa. What's crazy is that
wisdom before way beyond your years.
When I went and approached my dad.
Yeah.
So her dad was one of the elders of the church that we went to.
Okay.
And so I was most nervous about approaching him.
To go ask for his blessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the conversation went well, and then I had to talk to her mom, and they were both like, okay, like this is, they were excited.
Give you the approval.
And then it was like, all right, you got to talk to your dad. I'm like, man, I don't know. And when I approached my dad, he just was like, okay. He's like, I trust you. I'm like, what? But again, now looking back, I'm like, I was 18 at the time. Like I'd been out of high school for like 8 months.
That's yeah. You think about it, 40-year-olds don't even do this stuff, or are nervous about it. And you doing
I was
that.
Nervous about it.
Amazing to do that at 18.
Yeah.
And there's still people that have obviously not made their mind up for the Lord.
Everyone's on,
different path. Yeah.
So it's like, just
good for you though.
Just because that's how it went for me doesn't.
Yeah.
Just mean there's no like roadmap. It's not like this is how it is.
I'm glad you're sharing that.
Has like a different story.
Yeah. You're never too old or too young to, make those decisions. And I'm glad you did when you at that age, because I wish I did that when I was 12 and 18.
Yeah. I know. And I look back and it's like such a blessing the way that all panned out.
Yeah.
And
so
there's like so much more to share too. I could ramble.
No, that's good. Well, that's what the podcast is for. It's for people to listen in and be a fly on the wall. I know they can obviously follow you on Instagram. You got your YouTube channel. You're dropping clips every Thursday.
Well, no, I haven't done that in a while. I've been working on a movie which
Okay.
I'll give you a little sneak peek.
Oh, okay. There you go. Guys, got to stay tuned.
Yeah. I've been working on a movie for about almost a year.
Okay.
It was
Got a name?
October of last year. It's called Ambivalent.
Ambivalent. Okay.
October of last year. I mean, basically the footage spans from like late 2021 up until last fall.
That was your season of production and filming.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I wasn't trying to make a movie. I just basically went through some stuff in life, which I mean, I guess whatever I could talk about because the movie will still tell it in a different way. But you know, I had some like I wasn't like depressed. Mm-hmm. Depressed to me, that seems like a pretty exaggerated word for like
a strong word.
What I went through in comparison to like what I know other people deal with depression wise.
This is tail end of COVID, kind of.
But it's more. It was more just so it basically was like part of 2022 into 2023. It was like a year. It was a solid year, if not a year and a half or so. Of like dealing with these emotions and feelings and thoughts and stuff. And I guess like part of it was because of COVID. It was like, you know, COVID hit and just like the rest of the world, like we all got budget cuts or completely lost our jobs.
Right.
I didn't lose my job, but came into a place where it was like, oh, this is like pretty tough to make ends meet again.
Yeah.
After having gotten to a place in 2019, like I finished 2019 and I went into 2020, like February 2020, I paid off all my credit cards for the first time in like 4 years Amazing. Or something. I was like finally caught up and like out of debt.
Yeah.
Because from like 2016 through 2019 or 2018, I literally just said yes to every single surf trip opportunity I got.
Yeah.
It was just like, if I get an invite, I'm going. Like, because I was trying to make my career something that was sustainable, and it wasn't just like, okay, I got here and now it's over.
Right. Like a big high and a big low.
Yeah. And so literally like 2019, I was finally at a place where I was like paying off, you know, trips from like years past.
Right.
And not like, it just became like a, you know, snowball effect. It's like you acquire some debt, you start paying that off, you do something else. And it just is like, And so I basically 2019 didn't do really but one trip and, you know, was just paying everything down. So I literally got it all paid off February. I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm going to actually put money in a savings account for the first time. And then it was like
COVID funds hit. For the kids and the wife.
COVID hit and it was like, everything's shut off. It was just like cuts left and right. I was getting phone calls from like every company I rode for. And it was like, hey, we got to do this. Hey, we got to do that. And
we don't know what the future's going to be.
Yeah. So what happened was for that year, I just was like, all right, well, I'm going to grind and keep putting out content, if not more. Well, one, because I was in a place where like I was hoping to try and encourage people through videos and stuff. Cause it was like kind of a dark time for a lot of people.
Yeah. And was just stuck at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just went like full bore, was working as hard or harder than I had been in previous years.
Yeah.
And basically 2020 and towards the latter part of 2021, I was like just running out of fuel. Like
you were burnt out.
Yeah. I mean, cause I do it all myself. So
you were in the editing bay all day, every day.
Yeah. I think that's what got hard was basically I went into 2022 and all of a sudden it was like, you know, like as a pro surfer and like I'm more in it because I love to do it and it pays the bills, but it's not like I'm making a bunch of money. It's like, I'm not in it for the money. And so, but what happened was, you know, you do it for the benefits, like you go on surf trips or like you make your own schedule and I can just go to the beach with the family or go fishing. And I got to the point where I wasn't
freedom and lifestyle.
I didn't have that. I didn't give I'm my own boss, but I didn't give myself that freedom. I was literally at the computer all day, Monday through Friday.
You were just pushing yourself.
I was just pushing stuff. And so like I was missing beach days with the kids. The kids are growing up. Like I was missing out on like, I missed some insane fishing days. Cause I'm like, no, I can't go this morning. I have to get this video out by tomorrow, which like in hindsight, I'm like, whoa.
Right.
What I missed out on was like more beneficial than a video being out 24 hours late. Like, I just was so like tunnel vision on what I was trying to do that I started doing it bad and I just wore myself out because I do it all like alone besides Jeffrey filming the surf stuff. And so,
but it took a toll on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so basically I started kind of being like, you know, Lord, like, am I supposed to still be surfing? Like, am I supposed to still be doing this? Cause like I could have like, there's other jobs I could get with the skills that I have through video and editing and you know, the contacts I have, like, is there something I could do that would be more sustainable so I could, because the other thing was like, I just wouldn't even surf unless I was filming.
Okay, recording.
Every surfer and every surfing community should have the opportunity to know and follow Jesus.
That's why we want to share with you an exciting new project.
The Surfer's Bible!
The Surfer's Bible won't just be in printed form, but it'll also be digital.
And this will include testaments, devotionals, and reading plans, all online and consistently updated.
As part of the global movement, you can make this fantastic idea a reality.
For as little as $10, you can get a printed Bible in the hands of a surfer who has never read one before.
That's a Bible in the hands of a surfer at the local beaches.
Lives will be changed and hearts will be softened.
For
Every surfer!
I think we did it.
We did it. Phil?
Are we done or are we...
Like, I mean,
Wow.
unless I went to the beach, did end up at the beach with Casey and the kids. Like,
Yeah.
I just could care less about going surfing. I'd like fallen out of love with it because I associated it with like, oh, I got to charge my batteries. Are my GoPros charged? Is Jeffrey going to meet me? Like, is it good enough or is he going to be bummed? Like, there's just so many things that revolved around just going to surf
Yeah.
that I didn't like it anymore. And so,
Kind of lost the love for it.
yeah. And so, anyway, the whole movie kind of that I'm making dives into that and what that process was like and kind of all of the steps of like how I came through that and how I prayed through that and like what that transition was like. And
It's not just a surf film. It sounds like
No,
it's
no.
like a little
It's like
documentary about that season
sort
of your
of-
life.
yes, it is without. So what I'm going to do is like the movie will be more cinematic.
Okay.
It will have
More
voiceover that tells
feature
us-
length.
Yeah. It's like 35 to 40 minutes depending on how I have it all laid out now, but there is a chance to get it a little shorter. So, or it might end up being, depending on credits and stuff, might be longer. So,
It sounds incredible. Ambivalent.
yes, ambivalent. So it's
Coming
like,
out
because
2025.
no, it'll be out this year.
Okay.
I've been working on it for a long time. And, my hope through it all is just to like encourage people that like, yes, I'm a professional surfer. And yes, like compared to like working a 9 to 5 at a desk, like I can get to go fishing. I can get to go surfing. I don't miss those days. It's like actually my job to not miss those days.
Right.
But even in that, you can still just like struggle.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and that's the thing is like, I see so many more people kind of like dealing with that publicly, like, you know, whether it's people on tour that are acknowledging like, hey, like I need a break. And it's like, you surf for a living. Well, yeah, but it's still a crazy mental toll. And the
it's still stressful.
It's still super stressful. It's way more stressful. Like I did a construction job at one point years ago, just to like make up funds. Like I didn't get a contract until like April. So for like 4 months,
help make ends meet.
Yeah, I had to come up with money. And so I was doing construction and it was like trim work. So it was it wasn't like heavy construction, like, you know, pilings and stuff like that. But it was still like, I'd be there every day, Monday through Friday. And I was like, honestly, through that, just enjoying like, oh, sweet, there's waves. I'll surf after work or surf on my lunch break. And it was like, I loved surfing at that point. And it's almost one of those things where when you make it your job, and it can, if you let it consume you too much as a job, you just like don't love it for the love of it anymore.
Right. And is that why you never went like the full competitive route?
No, I was just bad at contests. I tried to. I mean, I was like when in 2010 through 2012, I was like doing all the contests I could afford to do. I didn't have a lot of budget at the time. 2010 was the year I did really well in the Vulcan Pipe Pro. Which kind of like launched my career into like an actual possibility. Because up till that point, it was like, this may or may not happen.
You were on the dice.
And so that was like a big turning point. And but I was just never good at contests. If the waves were good, if there was barrels, I could make heats.
Right.
But if it was like you had to grovel,
and
my heart wasn't there. I didn't care.
You'd rather just be back at home.
I was already into video stuff.
Is that kind of, when did that kind of hit you in your career to go, you know what, there's this new platform now called YouTube. I made my
YouTube account within a year of YouTube launching.
Right, before everyone was on it.
I was uploading stuff. I forget what the name of the site was. There was some other site that existed prior to YouTube, and that was the only other place I knew how to upload videos to.
You're right.
And me and my friends were actually making making movies from the video game Halo.
Yeah.
And I had uploaded them.
Xbox.
Yeah, on the Xbox, and I had uploaded them to this site, and I tried looking it up years later. I couldn't find it. I don't know what happened to the site, but that was like that was like pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
And
Here's Casey here.
it's probably Mason. And so when YouTube came out, it was within a year. I went from like, to send O'Neill clips, I'd put them on a DVD and I'd mail it to him. But I didn't even know how to do that right. So like they would get them and they couldn't do anything with them. Like they did a movie, The O'Neill Kids Are All Right, and they asked all the team to submit clips, and I sent them clips, and then it wasn't in the movie.
You didn't make the movie.
And I didn't know why. And then later, like a year or two later, when I got more into video work, I was like, oh, I didn't make it because they couldn't get the clips off the DVD that I gave them. Like
it wasn't in the right format.
It was like read only. Like they couldn't get anything off it.
Download it. Okay.
Yeah. I was into YouTube. I think it was like.
I'm glad we cleared that. It wasn't due to your surfing.
No.
Technical error.
It was February 2006. I made my first video and uploaded it.
Okay.
And basically would use it as a way to like when I would get footage with the guys around here that would film, and I'd make a little edit. And for a number of years, I would just kind of re-edit a lot of the same stuff as a way to like kind of hone in my skills and play with it and learn and
cut your teeth on it. Because before YouTube, was it Facebook? Where would you see clips?
No, Facebook didn't even
exist
then. Yeah, I mean, movies.
Yeah, you would go watch full-length feature movies where you'd get like the DVD with a surfer mag or something like that, and that's how you would get content. And now it's
that was only movie content. So.
Yeah. Consumption of media was totally different. You couldn't.
Oh, so different. But at the same time, it was really cool because it's weird. It was better and it was worse. Like it was better then, but it's also better now.
In terms of accessibility?
Yeah, like, so it was better then in the sense, as far as a career, it was better then.
Okay.
Because
everyone would wait.
Everyone would wait, and when you were in a movie, it really meant something.
Yeah.
It was like, this is
you
the
got
level
special marquee moments of the year.
Yeah, and to be a part of that was really special. To get recognized was really hard. And to be in that movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like it meant more for the core surf community when stuff would come out. They would just like respect and trust whoever they were seeing surfing, that's like the best. Right. And
we're making the cover of a magazine.
Yeah, the cover of a magazine. I literally like shed a tear when Surfing Mag shut down.
Yeah.
Because it was like, that was my dream my whole life was to get the cover of Surfing. Because surfing was my favorite. Yeah. And it didn't happen. And so like when it shut down, I was like so sad.
Well,
but now, so it's better now.
Yeah.
Because like anyone can do it. You know what I mean? Like anyone can find a niche on the internet and
create content
and like share that stoke. And I feel like it's cooler in the sense that the core surf community that engages with surf content was so harsh, whether it was movies or, surf magazine websites down the road, like like kind of 2012, 2010, 11 through 2017. The comments you would see on there were so harsh.
Gnarly. Kind of like the keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
even nowadays, right?
Even nowadays, but it was so, because it was like the most hardcore surfers, it was so harsh. And then through YouTube and through doing it weekly and like basically building an audience on YouTube, and it was people that actually went there to like see what you're doing.
Right.
I found myself playing kind of the dialogue to what I thought, I knew of the core of the surf community.
What they wanted to see.
What they wanted to hear. And so like when I went to Tahiti in 2018, I actually went there for a surfline trip. Well, it was supposed to be a surfline trip. There was huge miscommunication. I was like in LA on my way there, and I'm like, hey, where are you guys staying? Like, how do I get there? And they're like, well, where are you staying? I was like, I thought I was with y'all.
Staying at your house.
Anyway, I went on that trip and I was filming, and basically I was going to be in this movie with Albie Lair, Nick Von Rupp, and Koa Rothman.
Okay.
And I'm like, I got to compete with these guys. Yeah. And so I go to Tahiti
for clips.
And like for my part in the movie and whatever. And I go to Tahiti, and it was so crowded and really slow. Like John's filmer, Eric Knudsen, said it was like one of the slowest, most crowded Chopu swells he had ever seen. I was like, sick.
Brutal.
So I didn't get that many waves, and I was like pretty bummed. It was my first time there. I wanted to get like a crazy wave. And I got some fun ones, but nothing like what I went there for. And
Yeah.
I talked about that I ended up making a vlog of it because I realized that like it wasn't actually a Surfline trip.
Yeah.
I told the Surfline guys like, hey, I'm going to get something out of this. I'm
Yeah.
going to make my own video. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And,
got to monetize it somehow.
and in the video, I'm talking like, you know, kind of down on the waves I got in my surfing, this and that.
Yeah.
But when you watch it, you're just like, you're in Tahiti, you got good waves.
It looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of negative comments on that video about my attitude in the video. And I'm like,
Wow.
I was realizing that I was operating in like the professional realm mentally of surfing.
Yeah.
And then I was realizing that, wait, my viewers just want to see a good time.
Right.
Like, I don't have to beat Koa Rothman to like succeed at what I'm creating here. You know, he's on a different path. I'm on a different path. And it's like, we have viewers, we each have viewers, we share viewers, but we each have our own like kind of fan bases. And it's like, it was really cool. I was really glad that people were just like kind of ragging on me.
Really?
Because it made me realize, they were calling me out. And it was one of those things where I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I was there to film for a movie against like Nick Von Ruff and Koa Rothman. Like, and I didn't get the clips, like the waves that Koa got.
Right.
So it definitely was, you know, a completely different thing. But then I realized like, wait, all I have to do I have this opportunity to make videos, to share these adventures.
Yeah.
I just have to enjoy them and have fun.
Right.
And so I kind of transitioned.
So you were trying to
that.
figure out who your audience was.
Yeah. Well, it was the first time realizing that like what I had grown up seeing and being a part of, like from the magazine, like VHS movie days to DVD to the internet.
Yeah.
It just was different than what I was realizing that, hey, not everyone out there is so hypercritical on your ability or your surfing or what you're putting out. Like, it's kind of the same thing with like Ben Grafe's videos. Yeah. Like he surfs novelty waves. Yeah. And he's a good surfer too, but he surfs novelty waves and that's his niche, is just like being happy and being stoked and sharing that with people. Yeah. And it's like, that's what life is anyway, right? Yeah. But it was a weird transition for me, taking it from like the hyper, like top tier, trying to be top tier performance to just like, I still want to be that personally, but like really the main thing is to just enjoy it. And share that with people, share like the adventure as a whole. And so I did like
the journey.
Yeah, I did a good job at that until I, like I said, went too far into that. And then it just basically was like a circle and I started like struggling again internally.
All good. I mean, it's, you know, that media has changed so quickly, Brett. And it will continue to, right? Next year, who knows what other platforms we're going to have to be on.
Eventually, it'll all have to just be live.
It's just going to go straight to live. There's going to be zero delay. It's just going to be a camera in your house. Hopefully 24. Hopefully not. But do you have your own TikTok channel?
I am completely against TikTok.
You haven't come out with your dance videos yet.
See, and that's like the thing is like, no, I don't like that. But I basically, through my like business side of what I do, it's like I have Instagram and YouTube. Facebook is like a third. Facebook is
third platform.
Could be important, but to me, I'm like, I'm only going to do so much so well on my own. Yeah. And so for TikTok, I just was like, I really don't even care. I had no interest in it at all. And then especially, I think it was 2020. I had like a viral fishing clip. Yeah. It was like a clip of me in my kayak, and there was this huge school of red drum, and they were bumping it, and like, it was insane. Wow. And it was just something I took with my phone. I put it on Facebook and Instagram, and it went viral, like millions of views or whatever. It was the first time I'd ever had something do that. People started ripping it off on TikTok. Whoa. And posting it as their own, like with captions like,
this is my,
as if they had experienced it. Yeah. And even when people would comment, they would respond as if it was them. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this?
Couldn't they see in the video that it was you?
No, because I just filmed it with my phone. So it's like my feet and my rod, like you don't see my face. Okay. So people were pretending it was them, and I'm like trying to get these videos taken down. Yeah. And no, like I've submitted all these copyright things to TikTok. And not once did I get a response. Wow. The only way I ended up getting them taken down, and I didn't get them all taken down, but I got a few, was a friend of mine was like, hey, the best way to do it is to flag it as copyright. Like just let the algorithm take it out. And so I posted on Instagram asking people to share, like, or go there and flag it. And within a day it got taken down.
Wow.
And so then from that point I was like, man, forget this whole company. Like, I don't want anything to do with this. Like,
so gnarly, because that's your livelihood, right? That's how you're making a living. That's how you're providing for your family. You're getting the talent and you're recording, but you're editing, you're getting it out there on YouTube platforms, Instagram and YouTube mainly.
Yeah.
But, and then people are out there just, stealing essentially your content that you've worked hard for and pawning it off as their own. But for you, it's your livelihood. Well, that's like, so you got to protect that.
Yeah. And it's hard because, you know, it's the internet. Like you gotta
how do you police the internet?
You gotta expect that stuff's gonna get stolen. But it was I was more tripped out that people were just straight up pretending it was them.
Yeah.
And like getting like 15
that's my
million views on TikTok. I'm like,
wow,
dude,
crazy.
What is this?
Yeah.
And like on Instagram, if stuff like that happens, or Facebook, you can submit, you know, claims and whatever, and you'll get some sort of response and stuff. Either gets
there's some sort of customer service.
Yeah. TikTok was just like the Wild West. I was like,
anything goes.
I don't want any. I didn't even like that. I didn't even like that I made an account and like get it taken down. So.
Oh man, well, God bless you, Brett, for being the ultimate internet missionary. I'm too scared of that mission, Phil. So I'll let someone who understands it go there.
It is definitely wild. My wife has always struggled because I will just like respond to pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
So like
your fan base?
Yeah, well, even if they're not a fan.
Yeah. I would still respond to you.
Yeah, it's like, you know, obviously you get into, I have gotten into some like pretty heated conversations and stuff with people over the years because it's the internet.
Yeah.
And I just
engaging with the trolls.
Yeah, well, some of them are trolls. I feel like there's very few times where someone's like, actually trolling.
Okay.
Well, trolling in the sense of like they're never going to change their mind or come to understanding.
Right.
And what I've found is that if you can be like calm enough and reasonable enough, you can
collective.
I've only had like a couple interactions that just like didn't have a resolve.
Right.
Most of the interactions at the end, it's like
amicable.
We can be like, we don't agree, but like have a good day, like whatever. Yeah.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah. And a lot of times even it's like, oh, okay, like I understand, or, you know, I'm willing to be like, hey, like I was wrong or whatever. Like, I think that's what's super important is just being able to recognize like, oh, you're wrong.
Right. Or even have a dialogue.
Because like, why even have a conversation with somebody if you're not willing to be wrong?
Yeah.
Because maybe you are like, you don't know everything.
Well, I feel like that's where the world's going now, right, Brett? Is everyone like is only going to talk to people that they think agrees with them, and if you disagree, then all of a sudden everyone's canceled. Humans have lost the ability somehow the last couple of years to agree to disagree.
I know. Anybody that grew up in the 90s and early 2000s is like,
what is happening right now? It's a crazy world. And
no one agreed with me.
Exactly. And social media it is kind of its own phenomenon. And like you and I were just saying, you've figured out a way to like make this your living. And it's a blessing and it's a curse for, you know, the good and bad and the pros and cons of it. But you've been able to make a career out of it, provide for your family, which is hugely important. But there are all these kind of crazy things or side effects that you have to deal with as a part of that. But you've learned to navigate it.
That.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter where you work. Like, you're going to have issues with your boss.
Right.
You're going to have issues with your coworkers. There's going to be like drama or whatever. Like, it's just
that's
life.
the way you look at it. Yeah.
And so that's what, like, kind of what I dive into in the movie. And even like what I learned about myself and kind of learned as far as like understanding better empathy for others through like that whole struggle I dealt with the 2022 and 2023 was like, it doesn't matter your circumstance. It is completely irrelevant, because if you're dealing with like kind of being in a dark place, like spiritually or mentally or whatever, and like struggling to like find joy in what you're doing, whether it's work or life or whatever, it's like everyone can deal with that and likely deals with that at some point. And it doesn't matter like what your job is or whatever. It's just like you deal with it because like evil is chaos anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no order to chaos, and that's like the devil's whole deal is like break up the order. And so it doesn't have to make sense.
Prince of lies and confusion.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I think that's what's hard. And I got really sad as I was kind of like coming around to like being in a better place again, and like just with all of life's aspects, was seeing like kind of Carissa and Felipe Toledo and like these kind of top tier athletes kind of admitting like, hey, I've been in a bad, like struggling.
Being vulnerable.
And the internet is just destroying them in the comments. And you're like,
why?
Dude, it doesn't matter that they're a pro surfer. Like, you don't know if like maybe their parent passed away or a brother passed. You don't know these things about them. Yeah. That's the thing is like everyone, like when you paddle out in a lineup, you have no idea what the guy next to you is dealing with.
Yeah.
And
or girl. Yeah.
I mean, it just happened to me recently where like someone I know blew up on me.
In the water?
No, online.
Okay.
And like we went back and forth, and I was just like, hey, we should probably just talk in person because like something doesn't seem, we're misunderstanding something here.
Yeah.
And then when I ran into him, he just apologized and basically was like, man, I was like, and you know, he had some stuff going on personally. And it was like, I just ended up being like a verbal punching bag. It wasn't anything personal. And it's like,
he just took it out on you.
Yeah. And when he explained to me what was going on, I was just like, dude, that is like, that's heavy. That's so heavy. Like I can't, that's what he shared was gnarly. And I was like, man, dude, it's like no sweat. I don't care. Like what happened.
Yeah. Let me just pray for you.
Yeah. It's like, and so I think that's what's hard is like people, especially like social media is rad in the sense that like we can connect with people around the world.
More people you would never have the chance to.
We can stay in touch with people that like
easier.
You know, like I have friends that I've grown up traveling with or on the team with O'Neill with that, you know, I still text and talk and message with online. Yeah. And, but at the same time, it's like, it is like too much information. Like
sometimes,
side note, you can't care about everything. Yeah. I mean,
we're everyone.
We're everyone.
The capacity.
Like we were quite literally designed to just like, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, like your neighbor is quite literally who's around you.
Right.
So it's like,
versus the whole world.
Yeah. We don't have the capacity for that. And so that's where the internet gets hard is like, people just want to judge everyone based off of like little glimpses that they see of their lives. And
assuming life is perfect on social media.
And then even people like me want to respond. And it's just
you want to respond to everyone.
So I've gotten better. Years ago, I turned off my direct messaging.
Okay.
Except
that's why you haven't seen any of my DMs.
There's a way. I don't know how it picks. Like sometimes messages come through from people.
Right.
That
if you guys follow each other.
Yeah, if we follow each other, but even if we don't, like I'll randomly get messages and I don't know how they come in.
Interesting.
Because like I'll run into other people that have messaged me who I do know in person and I've never seen it. And so it's like, I don't see them all anyway, but.
So there's an algorithm that dictates what messages you receive on social media.
But so I turned that off years ago because I would post, I think I turned it off during COVID because like I would post stuff.
And your inbox would be like this.
And my wife's like, what are you doing? Like,
don't deal with that, Brett.
Yeah. And so, you know, as much as like I said, I like to have conversation. I believe that like even two people that completely disagree on something, whether it's, you know, COVID or whether it's workouts or surf cams or the existence of God, like can at least like have a conversation and come to like understanding of why each person thinks that way.
Right.
Even if in the end you're
worldview.
Yeah. Even if in the end you're like, well, I don't agree with that, but okay. Like I can see how you got there. Like I think that that's beneficial. And for me, I think that it's like cool in a sense to like kind of level with people where you're just like, hey, like, I'm just like you. Like we just don't see these things the same way.
Yeah.
Dream with me, what if every surfer had access to a surf-friendly church?
I sensed there was this wave coming. I kept bumping into Christian surfers people that were planting or involved in Sandy Feet Friendly Church.
But in those places where there is no church, somebody has to step in, and we're answering that call.
This is what's wonderful about pioneering something new. It's what's wonderful about starting a church where there aren't any other Christians. Because I can't do a big flyer run. I don't have any of those options. The only way our church is going to grow is with people getting saved. God's got to turn up and start saving some people. That's his job. All I got to do is just be truthful to who he is, follow him. But he's kind of in the business of turning up and showing off. That's what God loves to do. He's the I am.
Basic 101 life skills right here with Brett Barley, bringing it back to have amicable relationships and conversations. And it's so important, Brett. I mean, like you said, people have kind of maybe lost touch with certain interpersonal skills through social media and all that. But you've had to learn to navigate that well with the help of your family.
I've learned how to navigate
to protect your mental space to some degree, right?
I've learned how to navigate it by doing it wrong first.
Well, no one's ever done social media right.
That's what I always tell people. Like the best way to learn how to do something is to do it wrong.
Right. As long as you learn from your mistakes.
That's how I learned to fish, was like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I would like kind of look stuff up online, but I basically would just be like, all right, this is a species I want to learn how to catch. Yeah. I'm just gonna figure it out. Like,
I love
you go like 5 times, you're like, I didn't catch anything, but I'm not a guy that's just like, well, I didn't catch anything, so forget this. I'm like, okay, well, how do I get better at it? Like, what?
You're going to be the
that's
professor.
Why I like Fail Friday. That's why I do Fail Friday, because it's like
that's your series right now.
Yeah. That's like I started doing that. It's 10 years old.
Yeah.
I posted the first official Fail Friday in January 2014.
It's such a relatable topic though, because everyone feels
like, well, okay, for one, the reason it came about was because when I grew up with surf movies, there was always a wipeout section at the end. And I loved that. That was like,
that was your favorite part.
Yeah, because you're watching guys just send it or like go to like hit the lip and their board hits them in the face. Like it's funny or it's gnarly.
Right.
And when you're filming, like there's so many of those clips. Like for every session that I might go and land like 4 airs and some turns, there's another session where I didn't land 20 things.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Having a gnarly fall.
Yeah. And so I just was like, oh, this is funny. And it would be funny to make it like, I'm trying to think, I think it was like, I don't know if it was campaign 1 or campaign 2.
Taylor Knox or Taylor Steele.
Yeah. One of the, actually it might not have been either. It might have been a Bill Ballard movie, I forget. But one of the wipeout sections was like a funny song.
Yeah.
Not funny in the sense like I use the worst songs I can find. But like it wasn't like a hardcore song.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. Like it's lighthearted. And so
made light of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
it shows that you guys are human.
Especially in the mid like 2010s, there was just so much bad music coming out. It was very easy to pull pop songs that just were like horrible. To make wipeout clips too.
Yeah.
And just to level with people, because it's like, I might surf professionally, but like
you're still a human.
I'm still human. I still like even
you don't land every 20 foot
even
air
if I
reverse.
did one like 6 foot air, I did like 10 that I ate it on that were horrible. So
I think that's what people relate to with you, and you're just so genuine and you're so real. So you're to recap real quick, growing up at Grom, 12 years old, decide to give your life to Lord, enter these Christian surfer meetings inadvertently, and then kind of jumped early on with social media and saw the potential for that, learned that, and which is an ever changing, right? Media is just changing daily, right? So your job is like just always staying on your toes. And then where did the fishing element come in? Was that like?
So when I was 22, I was not into saltwater fishing, because my only idea of saltwater fishing was when I was little, and my dad would have off work and he would take me to the beach and we'd go fishing. We'd bait fish and we'd catch like skates and little dog sharks. And I was just like, this is so lame.
You're over it.
And what's funny was he was actually a good fisherman, and he commercial fished like when I was really little and before I was born.
Wow.
But then it was just like, he worked like 6 days a week. So it just was like,
he's gone a lot when you're commercial fishing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Once I was at the age where like I could. Well, he wasn't a commercial fisherman. He ran a construction company with my uncle.
Okay.
But they were like doing so well with that in like the 80s and early 90s. They would also go commercial fishing for king mackerel and stuff when it was good.
Wow.
And
amazing.
Yeah, and so he was a good fisherman. It just got to when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, like. He worked 6 days a week and couldn't, fishing wasn't a part of, I didn't grow up fishing really. He would take me bass fishing. That was like really my best memories. And like, I liked bass fishing. I've liked bass fishing my whole life from him taking me, but I just wasn't into saltwater.
Okay.
And I would like dog it, which is, oh my gosh, I look back.
I'm staying in the freshwater.
I was so ignorant because I would talk bad about saltwater fishing and no one ever invited me on a boat.
Right.
No one ever invited me when the fishing was good until
you only had bad experiences.
Yeah. Until I was 22 and my son had just been born. He was like a few months old and my wife's dad actually got a boat and Fisher Heverly was here living with me that fall.
Okay.
We were filming with Jacob Vanderwerk.
Okay.
Who now full circle has been working with O'Neill for the last year and a half. But like prior to like he went from like filming with us and he graduated out of high school, skipped going to college and came to film with us.
And he's the main filmer at O'Neill right now, right?
Well, he's just like hired for like their product shoots and some of their trips and stuff.
Super cool.
But he was like Griffin, or he was Kolohe's filmer and then Griffin Colapinto's filmer. He did work with Billabong. He went from like working with like learning with us. Like when he showed up here, he knew, I forget, it was either his f-stop or his shutter speed that he didn't know how to, I want to say it was his f-stop he couldn't change. Because the first day we shot, I did this big air reverse and it was blown out. And I was like, dude, why is it blown out? He's like, dude, I had the camera maxed out. It was just too sunny. I was like, there's no way it's too sunny. And so we went through his camera. I was like, what'd you change? And like, I forget what it was. This was 12 years ago.
And now he's like the pro. But
and now he's like, And,
but he was like your first intern.
Yeah, basically. And, but anyway, so they were here and Casey's dad invited us to go offshore. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't really, I'm still like negative Nancy about saltwater fishing. But Fisher.
A little jaded from it.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, a guy named Fisher.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
It's like you living on your street named Barley.
He grew up fishing, him and his brother, whose name is Hunter. Grew up fishing and hunting. And so he's like, nah, dude, we got to go. It's going to be sick. Like, we need to go. I was like, okay. And we went and we go offshore and I'm like, dude, this is beautiful. And then we get into a school of mahi and they're like, not big, but we're just casting at them. And we ended up bailing a bunch of mahi. And I was like,
hey, this is
whoa,
fun.
This is sick.
Yeah.
And I had just bought a jet ski that year from someone that like their old rental. Yeah. They like flip them every few years.
For tow-ins or just?
Yeah, we got it so that we could shoot photos off the back of it.
Okay.
And, this was, magazines are still big. It's 2012. We're trying to like get a cover shot.
Yeah.
And
still the heyday of print.
And anyway, so we had an epic time fishing with her dad. We came in a couple days later. There was an island off the point. We took the ski out there and like just like pulled up on the island and took our fishing stuff and we were casting off the other end, just catching these big bluefish. Like I'd gone actually in this building, when it was my dad's old shop, we went in and there was just all this old tackle from the 90s. That was his, like hadn't been touched in like 10, 15 years.
Vintage tackle.
Yeah. We're just grabbing all this stuff and we load up and we go to fish and we're just getting bit off left and right. Like we lost probably like $80, $90 in lures because I just didn't know. I'm like, oh, like we'll just throw this stuff and we get bit off. But it was like big bluefish, so there's chomping through it. And it was like nonstop. They're just blowing up in the water. And I'm like, this is insane. So those two instances, I was like,
I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no pun intended.
And you're a great fisher of men, Brett, even though your name's Brett.
Yeah. That's how that whole thing started.
Super cool. So you're talking about your life on your channels. Obviously, you're surfing and your journey, always hunting the perfect tube. And you're the master of YouTube. And I don't know
about the master.
And you're fishing now. You got your beautiful family. What's next for Brett Barley in the next 5 or 10 years?
Ooh, honestly, it's one of those things where now that I have transitioned out of that like negative phase I was in there for a year or two.
Yeah.
And I've basically been taking the last like 18 months to kind of re-envision how I want my YouTube channel to be sustainable. In my head, I had dreamed of it being like big enough that I could like hire someone to help me. And it's not. And so I've kind of just accepted that. And I'm like, maybe someday it would be, but like, I'm also okay if it's not.
Yeah.
And so I want it to be sustainable. And now that my kids are getting older and like my son's always surfing with me now, like I just put out a video 2 days ago. That
How
was
old
like
Mason?
12. That was like him and I surfing. And
awesome.
And it was like super special.
Yeah.
And I don't really have like a 5 or 10 year plan or goal. It's like, I mean, Mason's 12, Malia's 9. So like in 10 years, like they're out of the house. Like I don't even want to
think about that.
Think about that.
Empty nester.
Yeah. And so it's like, I would say right now it's like, I'm just coming into a good place. I want to finish the movie and kind of be able to get back into a place where I'm making regular YouTube content. And I've actually missed it. And that's what I learned through like that whole process was that like I had fallen out of love with it and I figured out a way to fall back in love and be like, oh, I really do love what I was doing. I don't want to change or find another job. And again, it was one of those things where like I twice in my career have like prayed about like, all right, Lord, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? One of the times was 2017. And I remember that winter, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
If you wanted to continue with the content creation route?
Well, no, just as professional surfer in general, it's like, is there something else that I should be doing? Like, what is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And and then I ended up having like the most successful year of surf I've ever had. And I was like, okay,
you just scored on a bunch of trips.
Yeah, that was like pretty obvious that I was still supposed to be where I'm at. Like, it's one of those things where Jesse Hines actually shared this with me. It was actually in relation to whether or not to approach my wife and tell her that I had feelings for her years back. And he was like, man, one thing that I've realized is that like if the answer from the Lord is no, he's going to be pretty clear about it.
Yeah.
He's like, but if it's yes, it's not always going to be clear. He's like, sometimes it's, you have to just kind of step out in faith with it. And so that's how I have looked at, what I do with my career is like 2017 personally didn't feel into it, prayed about it and just kind of kept doing it. And then it was like, okay, 2-3 months later, it was like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. And so I kind of came into that same place a couple of years ago. And, through last year into the end of last year was just like, all right, Lord, like this is where I'm still at for now.
Yeah.
And this is where he still wants me. And so it's like, how do I do that well then for him? It's like, it's any job that we have the ability to like serve people and encourage people.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't matter whether you have like a following or whether you don't have that many friends, you still have interactions with people that matter. Even just in the grocery store or at work, like it's just about how we carry ourselves in community. And so, for me, it's just,
I love that you're praying about it though,
Yeah. Well, because it's like,
for...
I'm like, again, both the times it was like more of a personal, like I would be ready for something else.
Yeah.
And both of the times it was like, keep going.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing though.
Yeah. For now, it's just like finish the movie, get back to doing what I was doing and make it sustainable and make it more, I don't know. I feel like I kind of got very one-dimensional with how my YouTube channel is supposed to look. I'm a pretty OCD for the most part. And so it's like
laser focused.
Yeah, I kind of like once I'm like, this is how I do it. It's like, this is how I do it. I don't deviate at all. And so even to the point where it's like, I have like this raw footage that I could just throw together and put up and people would be stoked on, but I'm like, nah, I don't do that.
Right.
And so I've been trying to like stray from that and be more lenient and be more open and
do you know other creative ideas.
Yeah. And figure out just kind of how to tell stories and how to share content. And like, it's been really cool I would say in the last 2 years, I've ran into more people, both internationally and locally, that follow my stuff and have been encouraged in some sort of way, whether it's like, a dad being stoked that his kids can watch the videos because they're clean, or whether it's like someone being encouraged, like because I'm a believer, or just someone like being inspired. Like, there was somebody a couple years ago that hadn't surfed in like 10 years or something. They used to surf and they came across one of my videos and it like got them psyched to like go get back in the water. I was like, it was the craziest story. I was like, how in the world could I kind of have that effect? And so it was like,
God's using you.
Yeah. I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, this isn't something that I want to brush off just because I'm tired, and move on. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to make it sustainable because I made it unsustainable. And I found out what that looked like.
Well, you Brad, thank you for being so real. Like you said, I mean, there's no perfect job, right? There's no perfect career, no perfect coworkers or family.
Yeah, because even the dream job, once you turn what you love to do into work,
it becomes your job.
Then just as work, and then it's like, well, I want you know, like for me, it was really like, all right, well, every time I grab a surfboard and go surf, I have to be performing this certain way and it has to look like this.
Right.
And it was like, all right, well, it's pretty today. I don't want to go surf. I want to go fish or go do something that I just enjoy doing that's not necessarily work. And yeah, I mean, it's just.
Well, I know you've been, which is reality. Bible, the scripture says, if a man does not work, he's gonna eat. Yeah. So you're working hard to provide for your family. You've Ambivalent coming out later this year. So we look forward to that.
My wife's put like a hard stop. Like you're gonna
deadline.
Finish it this month. I'm gonna premiere it here at home first.
Okay.
And I've had people ask if I would I had a friend ask if I'd
go on tour
in Florida and stuff, but I'm like, I just want to put it out. It's just a passion project. It's a proper movie. It's got the full feel of a movie. And it's the only time I've ever done something like this. I don't think,
first feature.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever do I mean, I won't say I won't ever do something like this again, but it'd be a while.
You take a break. And, go back to the shorter form.
Well, it just is it just happened. It was there became this story to tell.
Yeah.
And
do you talk about your faith much in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what the whole movie revolves around is how I got through that struggle of I would not have gotten through it on my own. Right. It was through prayer. It was through not even just praying. And that's where I really dove into the Psalms a lot because it was super interesting for me to kind of learn more the declaration of I will praise the Lord. Not that I'm praising the Lord right now, but I recognize I will get through this to praise the Lord. There will be a blessing from this. And
there's a hope.
Yeah. And it's without giving too much away. There's a whole lot there. He gets a sneak peek.
We'll stay tuned for Ambivalent, and we'd love to maybe show that at a couple Christian surfer conferences and have you come do a little talk and do a little Q&A. I mean, obviously,
there's so much more. It's one of those things where it is a sin. I wrote the whole story through what I went through and the whole meat of how that transpired.
Your journey.
And then I had a friend of mine who's actually a writer sit down with me, and we kind of trimmed the fat to make it flow, and because I'm more of and this happened and that and this, and it's bad storytelling.
Yeah,
it's just kind of what's in my head.
Yeah,
and he helped me to word it so that it's still exactly what I said, but it's just not my terrible storytelling skills.
No, I'm sure it's amazing, and it's going to inspire countless people that you probably have no idea that's going to touch. Just like some of the testimony you shared earlier, you inspired a guy to get back in the water at the 10, and think about all the stories you haven't heard of those that you've made an impact with through, your content and your stories and your videos. And I'm sure your film's going to do the same thing because God, you're a child of God and He loves using you.
One person, that's all.
It's worth it, right?
Yeah. So it's just me doing it. I've just been doing it on the side of all my other work. Yeah. So it's taken a whole lot longer than I expected. But that's what it's not
You're such a perfectionist.
It's not
a
sponsored video. Yeah. I don't have the rights to the music. I just used good music.
Yeah.
Even the songs that I used, it's each song basically tells this. That's how I got way into it. And so I'm going to do kind of some behind the scenes once the movie's out, that kind of the storytelling of, because the story is so much deeper than what you see is in the movie, but the movie's more cinematic and kind of getting the message across.
Yeah.
And in a way that is consumable.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can sit down and talk for an hour.
I love it. We got to hire you as the official content director and teach us how to use social media. But Brett, you've been so raw and honest today. We talked about your surfing, your skating, your fishing, your career in media, social media platforms. How can people be, if they don't already follow you, how can people be staying in touch with you, following you, and what could we be praying for you?
I mean, really just praying that I keep, putting myself where, or accepting of the Lord's will of what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I think it's an easy thing, and that's what happened before, to just get caught up in the work side of it. It is still work. It is I still have deadlines. I still have things I have to do.
Yeah.
But there's so much opportunity there to, encourage and share and be honest. And I feel I've gone through seasons of like doing that and seasons of not. I mean, it's one of those things where like at the end of the day, like as believers, it's like our lives should just look different, right? It's not like some of us are called to preach. Not everyone is called to preach though. Like we all have different talents. And so, but most
Different
important,
parts of the gift.
yeah, most
Gifts and
importantly,
parts of
our
the body.
lives should look different. And so like that's always been my whole goal with social media is that like, you know, it looks different, but I don't want it to be, it's like, at least where I've felt that I am supposed to be is not in a place of like preaching. Cause I'm just, I can share things when they come to me or the Lord leads me, but it's like, I'm not a preacher.
Yeah.
And so,
well, you've led by example.
Yeah. And so that's how it's like, I've always kind of gone about it, but I do feel like there is room to kind of like branch out and have like portions of videos or not even portions of videos, but like talk pieces. I plan on doing like kind of more talk story stuff that does touch on like personal stuff that I'm like reading or going through or whatever that can be encouraging. And so just
maybe your own podcast one day.
I don't know. I maybe, but I obviously, as you can tell, I can ramble.
We love it. This is the perfect place to do it.
But yeah, I guess good prayer would just be that, you know, I keep doing it for the right reason. And if the Lord leads me elsewhere, I'm comfortable to do that. Like,
amen.
You know, I mean, that's how it should all be.
And I would not, but hearing your story and how you've just gone back to God in prayer and just asking him to guide you at certain key moments in your life with your wife and your career, you know, no doubt that you're going to continue to do that, Brett. And thank you again for being such a great example for us. thesurfersbible.org right there. If you want to hear more about Brett Barley's testimony, check it out.
I actually still have to watch the video. I haven't seen the video.
Is it? You finally got his first Bible. Well, your second one, first one that you're officially in.
I think the other one's up either in my son or my daughter's room.
Cool.
I gave it to one of them, so I need to go.
Super cool.
We got to find it now and be like, Dad's in one.
There you go. Dad's in the new one.
I don't think that's really
Send us a photo of the old one, and I'm so glad you got one of the old ones.
I want to say it's the orange one. Again, this would have been like 2001 or 2002 at latest.
That was probably one of the OG ones. We've had a few where there were a couple of just Gospels of John's and Mark tracks, and then another one with just New Testament.
Yeah.
And then we had the blue zipper one. That was the full Bible. But the orange one, that was OG. So you might have got one of the first.
Yeah, it had like Skip Fry.
Yeah.
I know
CJ
was in there.
Okay, it was probably just a girl, but he was in there. CJ and Damien in there on that one. That's epic, Brett. Well, thank you for making time for this. Thank you for sharing your story with us here on the Christian Surfers.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Talk Story podcast. And
I love to talk.
We look forward to. Well, I love it. You love talking about the Lord. We look forward to the film and seeing your journey in that film. And God bless you, brother.
Yeah.
You're amazing, Brett.
You too, man. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Thanks
for
guys.
having me.